Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and a warm welcome to tonight's series, the 23rd edition of the Emirates NBD Global Business Series, a one-of-a-kind initiative by Intelligent SME. My name is Natasha D'Souza. I am a business journalist and presenter here in Dubai. I will be your host this evening, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to tonight's very special edition. Since its inception over the last 2 years, this carefully crafted program continues to inspire entrepreneurs and executives with profound business insights from the most successful leaders and captains of industry in the region. Our success, impact, and reach through this series would not have been possible without the consistent and generous support of our visionary sponsors. We'd like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our title sponsor, Emirates NBD Business Banking, our sole automobile partner, Al Fathem Motors Toyota, and last but not the least, our strategic alliance partner, Dubai SME. Now, before we deep dive into tonight's very special session, I would like to inform you that the SPI Group will be hosting the largest innovation conference in the region next week, the Global Innovation Summit and Awards. On September the 21st at the Atlantis, you will see at this must-attend event thought leaders, global game changers, and regional innovators convene in one place to explore, debate, and discuss the latest developments that are driving innovation across sectors in the world today. For more information and to register, please visit the URL you see up there, innovationsummit.ae, or speak to any of the members of the SPI Group who are here today. Now, without much ado, let's kickstart the felicitation ceremony. I'd like to kindly request our guest of honor, Mr. Shaji Ul Mulk, to join us on stage, please, as we commence the ceremony. Now, may I also request Mr. Vikas Thapar, the Executive Vice President and Head of Business Banking, to do the honors. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I would request now the CEO of SPI Group, Shantanu Phansalkar, to join us on stage as well. Thank you, gentlemen. I can't tell you how excited I am to see that we have such a great crowd in the room today, considering we just had a long Eid weekend. People might still be in vacation mode, but you're here. You want to get those juices flowing in your brain. Start thinking now about questions we want to ask our guest of honor. I'm very excited to actually deep dive, and I have all these questions planned for you. I promise I will not be difficult. But before that, there are a few house rules I need to share with you just to make sure that today's session runs as smoothly as possible. While we will have time for Q&A a little later in the evening, please feel free to use your phones to interact with us. We have a Twitter hashtag. That's the one you see up there, GBS_insights. Feel free to use that hashtag, tweet it out if you have any questions. If there's something that our guest says that really resonates with you and you have a reaction, use that hashtag and put it up there. I will be looking at the Twitter a little later on to see if there are any particularly interesting questions that our audience has today. Most of all, ladies and gentlemen, the most important rule today is this is not just my interview with Mr. Ul Mulk. It's not just my conversation. This is your conversation too. You're a part of this. Stir the pot with me if you like. When we have questions, I'm actually going to get up here in the audience, interact with all of you. see what you'd like to speak to him. Imagine this as your living room, if you will, and you're here with this icon in our midst, and he has a story to tell. So let's find out what he has to tell us today. Today we're going to go deeper into the heart and soul of Shaji Ul Mulk. He's here today not just as an icon, but as an individual. Not just a persona, but a person. A real flesh and blood man who has accomplished what very few can do in a lifetime. Today, we're going to go beyond what Google will tell us about him and simply listen to his story in his own words. Well, what do we know so far about him? Nawab Shaji Ul Mulk hails from the royal family of Kurnool in the southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. A brilliant student, his excellence as a scholar saw him being awarded the Indian President's Scholarship, which meant that his entire student career, he received a free education. Eventually, Shaji was accepted into the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. And for those of you familiar with MBA programs, this is hands down always among the top 10 business schools in the world. But it wasn't business school that set him on this remarkable trajectory, and we'll come to that in our conversation today. As a founder of Mulk Holdings, a diversified multi-sector conglomerate, his business interests span building cladding, metals, plastics, renewable energy, and healthcare. And just recently, as you told me earlier today, you even have food franchise as well now in the mix. Okay. Forbes has ranked Shaji number 11 in the list of the top 100 most powerful Indians in the Arab world. And Arabian Business lists him as the 7th richest Indian among the top 10 billionaires in the GCC. This is a man who has transformed the skyline of multiple continents: Europe, North America, India, the Middle East, Africa, you name it. It would be fair to say that Shaji Ul Mulk is part and parcel of so much of the new infrastructure that we see shaping this country, the UAE. But what shaped him? What shook him? Where did he struggle? In tonight's rendezvous, let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me again in welcoming Shaji Ul Mulk. So, you come from Indian royalty, and I can't say I've ever met someone who came from Indian royalty. And I'm curious, you hail from a dynasty called Kurnool in South India.
Kurnool, yeah.
Kurnool in South India. And I'm curious, what does that mean to be a Nawab? What was it like growing up in that kind of milieu? Paint a picture for us, if you will.
Well, hello, Natasha, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You see, your question about the Nawabs is, I think, more of a myth. Now, the Nawabs and the royal family before 1947 was a different scenario. And post-1947 is different. Now for us, there are many stories of the rags to riches and riches to rags. Now, if it comes to the Nawab, I have seen personally many of my cousins who literally lost everything after 1947. So there are very few Nawabs or the royal family members who are smart enough to turn their wealth and the power into businesses. You see, they, in my opinion, the family hasn't moved on. The family needs to move on into reality. Now, what really happened there was they're living in the past and thinking power, wealth, respect is a birthright. It's not. Now, for me, we were happy, and I think we were lucky that my family actually put in those values into us, saying that it's not your forefathers, it's not your past, it's who you are, is what it matters. So having said that, we had a very grounded upbringing. Yes, the comfort of the lives were there, but then my parents never for once made us forget that it's not your past that's going to make you, it's what you will be, is what you will be. So that's how it was here.